Broadcasting to you from high atop a mountain of money comes a show that's geared towards entrepreneurship, small business people, and anyone looking for financial freedom. This is Wealth 360 Radio with Stephen Ratliff, the Relentless Capitalist, James Guajardo, the real estate guru, and Jeff Fagan, the money master. To find out how you can benefit from their years of experience and success, go to wealth360radio.com. That's wealth360radio.com. Now, brace yourself for a potent mix of advice, knowledge, and straight talk. It's Wealth 360 Radio.
Hi, everybody. This is Stephen Ratliff, the Relentless Capitalist, the Ayatollah of the Big Payola. I'm sitting high atop that mountain of money, and we want to help you guys get to the summit with us. I'm sitting here in the command module with my co-host, Mr. Jeff, the Internet Maven Fagan, and guess what? Mr. James Guajardo, the Ayatollah of the real estate payola, the Cape Crusader of capitalism, the one and only Mr. Go.
Say something. I love your intros. I love your intros as you run them every week. And I could only imagine, I could not imagine anybody else doing that.
Man, you guys left me hanging there. I was like, hey, no, I enjoy a nice opening for fun, but this is really a serious show about a serious topic. It's about your ducats, how you make them, how you keep them, and most importantly, how do you make them grow in a low interest yield environment like this? I mean, we're kind of in uncharted territory, globally speaking. So how about it, guys? How does a guy make money when the banks across the globe want to pay you nothing for your savings? In fact, as we're seeing in parts of Europe and in Japan, they actually have negative interest rate policy, NIRP, where they want to, you put in $1 million, you end up with $950,000 at the end of the year or after a couple of years. What do you make of that?
How does negative interest rates really affect the U.S. and like the housing market? I actually am scratching my head on that for the fact the housing market's been on a run.
Let's put it this way. The houses are employing a lot more home safes these days because guys are taking their cash out of the bank and sticking it away in the wall vault because, I mean, who wants to pay for the privilege of parking your money down at Chase Manhattan or Wells Fargo? Hasn't happened here yet, but I'm going to tell you.
I think it's in the horizon.
My instincts tell me it's coming.
Right. Well, I think, Steve, you've totally nailed it. In fact, here's the dilemma that virtually everybody is facing, and in fact, the majority of Americans today. Most of Americans, especially those of us, we're baby boomers, and most of us grew up in an environment where there were interest rates. I remember double-digit interest rates.
Right.
So you guys all remember double-digit interest rates.
Oh, sure. Back in the 70s and early 80s until Paul Volcker put he jacked up the rates and finally quashed inflation, but...
And probably historically, a 5% interest rate was not an unusual interest rate for someone to budget as they were moving forward, that they could earn 5% fairly safely on their money. With what's happened now, we now have this incredibly huge deficit. You guys know how big it is. It's around $19 trillion, and it's going by $1 trillion a year. That's how much the U.S. government's deficit is.
Right. I actually heard that. Obama is more responsible for more debt than all other previous presidents combined. Can you imagine that?
Well, here's the scary part.
He's more than doubled it.
We're running a $1 trillion deficit with historically low interest rates. Now imagine if the Feds decided to raise the interest rates a quarter of a point.
Well, they can't. Yeah.
If they were, how would the U.S. government come up with the money just to service the interest on the debt? They're not even currently servicing the interest on the debt. In fact, we're going even deeper into debt because every year we're printing $1 trillion more than we're producing to cover the deficit every year. So we now have this zero interest rate environment. And let me ask you guys something. Do you think that's a short-term phenomenon, or do you think that's going to be the way of the future?
I think you're right. I think we're going into something over our next generation is going to be.
I think we're in uncharted territory. Nobody knows nothing. It's like they say in Hollywood about what movies are going to make it and what movies are going to fail. Right. Ultimately, nobody knows nothing. That's why economics is called the dismal science, because no one knows jack. Okay, and we're in uncharted territory. Remember, Yellen said we were going to have 4 interest rate hikes in 2016. After I think it was December of 2015, we had that first rate hike. Mm-hmm. But of course, every quarter it turns out, growth hasn't been quite what we expected, so we're going to tampen down on the brakes a little bit. We can't raise interest rates now. We're going into the election. Probably they should have pushed interest rates up a little bit, but, the Fed's a political body just like everything else in Washington, so they dare not raise interest rates heading into the election, because you can rest assured that the Fed bias is towards Hillary, and so they're taking marching orders from the administration to some extent, although, quote unquote, the Fed is independent. Most people don't realize that the Fed is not a branch of the federal government. It's as federal as Federal Express. It's a privately owned banking cartel owned by its membership banks. And they've masqueraded around for 103 years as a federal agency.
But, how does an investor follow with the market in today's market, and understanding that I firmly believe interest rates are going to stay unchanged overall and may actually soften and even go less? How do you prepare for something like that in comparison to what's going on in the economy? Obviously, there's a big disparity in regards to wealth and how someone, and I think why people even listen to a show like this, they look for different ideas to catch on and say, how can I create wealth in my environment, my world?
If you're an investor or an entrepreneur, you make decisions every day based on imperfect information. You control the controllables, and you have to let the uncontrollables take care of themselves. And I'm reminded of the sage advice of the Oracle of Omaha himself, Mr. Warren Buffett, who says that when him and Charlie Munger are making investment decisions on companies to buy, they pay no heed to macroeconomics. They said they just ignore it completely, because it's the vagaries and vicissitudes are such that they just can't even put that in the equation. Otherwise, they'd end up doing nothing at all.
What was that word?
Vicissitudes and vagaries. I'm talking about the whims and the perambulations of the market, the ups and downs, the bumpy ride that you hear so much about.
I'll tell you, I think that this is a spectacular time of opportunity for every single one of our listeners, given the fact I'm going to make the assumption that I believe that for the foreseeable future, interest rates are going to remain low. I just can't see them. If they rise quickly, we're all in so much trouble.
Yeah.
I don't know what this. I think we're all in a world of hurt if interest rates rise quickly, because the U.S. government's debt is so high they can't service the debt.
The number one reason why interest rates don't go up is the government can't service $19 trillion plus of debt. Look at the unfunded liabilities, $150 to $200 trillion going forward. It makes it just completely unserviceable. So
here's the deal. Understanding that your money is not going to be well served by putting it into the bank, which is going to earn you zero interest, or maybe even in the future negative interest, or traditional investments. If you're not willing to take the risks of the stock market, which in my opinion for the average investor out there, unless they're very sophisticated and know really what they're doing, to me, the stock market is nothing more than a fancy way of saying Las Vegas. Really. Then the best of all opportunities is entrepreneurship.
Right.
Because in my opinion, in today's marketplace, someone who learns the skills of entrepreneurship can make a fortune in a short period of time.
As you talk about that, we look at what is the demand on the market. And if we talk about real estate in general, what is the demand on real estate relative to low interest rates? Everybody is looking back towards real estate across the United States. Inventory is starting to shrink, and rental market is really starting to move. For some reason, why can't people get a loan in today's market with such low interest rates? To me, it's like I don't know what you would call it, but almost a perfect storm.
You're saying it's difficult for Johnny Sixpack to qualify for a loan right now.
Right.
So
he can't qualify.
If you've got the cash to buy properties and be a landlord, that's a safe place to be, right?
It's a great wealth idea, and we'll talk more about that in the next segment.
Okay, guys, we're going to go to our first break, and when we come back, we're going to open a can of financial whoop-ass on you and talk real estate and business. Stay with us. Back right after this.
You have been listening to Wealth 360 Radio. If you have any questions or thoughts about today's program, go to wealth360radio.com. That's wealth360radio.com to connect with the host and learn the business tips and mental tricks needed to secure your financial future. Now, back to Wealth 360 Radio.
Okay, everybody, we're back for round number 2. This is where you're going to hear some blunt talk about success. You know, we're a little bit rough around the edges, but that's because we don't sugarcoat it like everybody else. We're going to just tell it like it is. So, James, tell us. Let's talk about real estate. Let's talk about what a guy has to do to get his feet wet, get going, and start making some deals.
You know, as we talk about it even at the end of the last segment, wealth is a very interesting thing, and I think that you really have to change your concept of mind. Actually, we've talked about this before. What happens when we grow up? We go to school. Our parents convince us, and ourselves, our school teaches us in high school to go to a university, right?
Oftentimes.
Everybody wants to put us within a box, and the theory of that box has really kind of blown up over the years. We look at what our debt within college loans is completely out of control, and the average college degree student or ex-student now does not have the job that they actually just spent the last 4 or 6 years actually developing their mind and their whole set time while they're at university. Now they're working at some obscure job with $100,000+. Go ahead.
Are you suggesting that we are being trained like mice or
We're
rats
trained
to work in somebody else's maze?
We'll call it mice, to get on the wheel, to get on the hamster wheel, and we're going to run on that hamster wheel.
We're going to run for someone else's piece of cheese, because if we're not building our dreams out,
right,
we're actively involved building someone else's dream.
And the reality of it all is there are very, very few, and maybe those people that didn't go to college and get stuck mentally, because it's all a mindset, right? I would think it's all a mindset. They didn't get their brain hung into, well, if I do this, I get this piece of cheese. If I do this, I get this. And they got off the assembly line.
James, forget the cheese. Let's talk about the meat and potatoes, man. How does a guy get going in real estate?
But I think at the same time you have to look at the overall reason why there's a big opportunity for investors today of creating wealth. And wealth is I think you really have to change your mindset in regards to why you're investing and looking for the future in comparison to just dropping your money in the stock market.
There's no ambiguity. I want to make money. That's why I'm investing.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to live large and be in charge, James.
So exactly. So as we all want to live large and be in charge.
Well, some people want to live small and be scared of money. I'm not one of them. How about you, Jeff?
Oh, man, not me at all. That's why I think the three of us have so much fun when we're here together. We all think big.
As we walk through this, wealth, obviously there's other things that you can invest in. I'm a big proponent of real estate in itself. And I think within real estate, there's such an amazing opportunity in today's environment of capitalizing what's happened in the economy across the United States. We're not just talking about in Arizona, but throughout the United States, there are millions of Americans that went out and went for their what they dreamed of was to go to the right college, and they got out of college, and now they're sitting on $100,000, $200,000 in debt. And what are they now? They're the greatest opportunity for the investor, because their chances are they're going to be a renter for the next 10 to 20 years because of the debt that they incurred while going to college. They put themselves in a position that they may and you know what? It's actually now, I think, a new way of life for people getting out of college and having that kind of debt. They're just going to be a renter.
These Gen Xers, Gen Yers, the millennials, they've got a different idea about
I think it's
what it means to be a
completely
young adult.
Right. So as you get into that, there's an amazing amount of wealth by having the capital to invest in properties that have a high income potential on a rental basis relative to what you borrowed. So if we're borrowing at close to negative interest rates or very, very low rates, and we're able to rent at a higher level and rents are going up, it's just one of the many ways that an investor can create wealth. Jeff talks about it immensely all the time about what is what is your sentence on creating wealth?
I'm sorry, I'm not sure. You caught me off guard here.
I'm trying to think that last time was
his full tilt boogie, man. Search and destroy. Don't make it happen.
Exactly. How do you create wealth? Is you're receiving income not off of your regular labor on a regular basis. It's a passive income.
You want to disconnect?
Okay, so yeah, absolutely. But what I'm always talking about, and what you're referring to, of course, is creating financial freedom. And you create financial freedom.
I'm going to call it wealth, but you call it financial freedom.
Okay,
hey guys, it smells like capitalism to me.
There you go. That's it. And the beautiful thing about financial freedom is that when you become financially free, you've got enough money coming in from your passive income streams or income streams that you've created. And as an entrepreneur, you're thinking about creating all these multiple streams of passive income, right? And you reach a point where you have enough income that all your bills are paid. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're traveling around the world first class and staying in the best hotels, but you're free.
Sure it does.
Well, but the beautiful thing is once you're free, then you can always work at upgrading the quality of your freedom, right? I mean, you can move from being free and traveling economy to free and traveling first class if you want to. But the first goal is get free.
Right.
Because when you're free, you don't have to wait. When you wake up in the morning, you're financially free.
I want to have a jumbo carbon footprint. I want to make Al Gore just cringe when he sees me fly up in my G650 because he's only got a G450, dude. Here's Al Gore pontificating to the rest of us about carbon and the carbon offsets and so forth. I want to have this gargantuan carbon footprint as I land on my 747.
Well, Steve, getting back to what you were asking James about, and I can guarantee you James uses this strategy. Right now, interest rates are low, but it's not necessarily easy to qualify for those low interest rates. So
that's because we got the Dodd-Frank bill, the Consumer Financial Protection Act, which is designed to protect you from
no doubt. But there are people out there that have great credit ratings that don't know that they could be of value to the real estate investor,
right,
to be able to partner with a real estate investor who sees all kinds of great opportunities but needs someone with good credit in order to qualify to get the finance.
Exactly. And, you hit a big point. There's so many different ways to invest in real estate, whether you're lending on real estate, whether you are partnering, I would think that you would call it, by utilizing your good credit and creating a venture partnership that creates that passive income. A lot of people don't know that they can do that, and obviously it's important to seek counsel when you do that to make sure it's almost like a marriage that you're getting in with someone else.
But
even Wes is shaking his head. Yeah. I think he's right.
Here's a situation where Steve is saying, how do you make some moolah? I want to make some moolah now, man. So you know what? If you've got good credit and you partner with someone who knows how to find the deals.
How does that brash young upstart, the wholesaler, the guy that's just getting going, how does he find that investor who's going to capitalize his deals and fund his deals?
I think within any local market, here in the Phoenix market or whether you're in Los Angeles or New York or whatever, there's localized events of people that put on educational events. And the last thing that we want anybody to do is to get stuck into a high expense financial situation of education. We really preach listening to events like this and creating relationships with people and not get hung into a high paid education event. But you could actually, and we'll post it soon up on our website on wealth360radio.com, maybe you could actually submit your information on that website and we could hopefully gear you over towards somebody that may be interested in working in your specific market.
So you're saying there's lots of opportunity at these meet and greets to meet some of these wealthier guys that probably don't want to be fixing toilets, changing hot water heaters and such, but they've got the capital. They're ready, willing, and able to invest on some of these projects with a guy.
Well, the reality is somebody that has that kind of income, most people may have being a professional, and their job does not give them the time to spend focusing on a specific asset. Does this real estate asset work for us, whether we're buying it and rehabbing it or whatever? It's good to find a partner, localized partner.
I've got 3 houses in escrow. I can't close any of them, but each one of them has a $25,000 equity position in it with a minimal investment. But I don't even I just put up the earnest money. I don't have the money to do carpet and paint and replace some tiles. How do I locate that guy?
Right. So I personally
investment events.
I personally believe there's local investor events that are real estate investor events in every single market that it would be very smart and prudent for whether you have the capital or you're looking for the capital to attend events like that in the local market or reach out to somebody like us on wealth360radio.com and we can point you to localized specialists that can help fulfill what you're trying, whether you're someone with the capital or you don't have the capital. We try to help mix and match that together.
I wonder if something like Craigslist works. Guys keep telling me it does.
I would be careful with that.
Okay. Well, guys do it all the time.
Well, the reality is there's about 1 billion views on Craigslist that run through.
Okay, guys, we've wrapped up segment 2, okay? So we'll be back right after this. Don't suffer from someday syndrome, guys. Get involved in real estate now so you can get involved in meet and greets with James and find out more about the internet and find out about finance and all these other techniques. So we'll be right back just after a couple messages.
You have been listening to Wealth 360 Radio. If you have any questions or thoughts about today's program, go to wealth360radio.com. That's wealth360radio.com to connect with a host and learn the business tips and mental tricks needed to secure your financial future. Now, back to Wealth 360 Radio.
Okay, everybody, we're back. We're here to talk about how you can avoid being average and shift to awesome mode, right? Isn't that your term, Jeff? Awesome mode?
I love it. I haven't actually used it before, but if you want to give me credit, I'll take it,
I thought that was you. Awesome mode, man. Awesome glasses. That's what you said. Your awesome glasses.
Awesome glasses. That's right. Put on your awesome glasses.
All I know is that average sucks, right? Can we agree
totally does.
Can
yes,
we agree
sir.
on that?
Yeah, absolutely. You bet.
Hey, let's talk a little bit about how a person mines their sphere of influence, James. How does a guy get networking, find that investor, start to build up those relationships that allows him to, wheel and deal, to really get conversant in real estate?
I think that, and we've talked about this before, the old adage of doing business just by a Rolodex of 10, 15 names is completely history. And the advent of the internet has really expounded and changed how people do business in today's marketplace. Whether it's real estate or internet business or whatever it is, we have to really embrace what's going on in this economy. I'm getting old in my age. I'm over 50 now.
Oh, my gosh. Jeez, I can't even remember when I was 50.
We're not, without giving ages, we'll just point out that James is the youngster in the bunch.
But what I noticed, we did some interviews this week, and as we were interviewing prospective people into a position, a development position, you could completely tell those people that were on top of their game and understood LinkedIn and other web development platforms that are out there to help them do business.
You got to be conversant in social media and digital, digital goodie, the digital
almost
goodie
digital wizardry to an extent.
So we know that.
Yeah,
I'm with you.
So as you go through that, you have to understand, how do we do business in today's marketplace?
Yeah, how do I optimize that so I can monetize? Optimize to monetize. And I think it's even gone by the wayside, even though we put up this website, wealth360radio.com. But understanding, you in the last segment, you happen to mention about Craigslist. Craigslist, I believe, gets about 1 billion views, they're saying. I think it's a day, 1 billion views a day. I need to Google that. But recently I've even heard that Facebook has completely even eclipsed. They're getting like 1 billion views an hour right now. And they're changing, everything is changing online. I mean, it's just wild, man.
Well, yeah. So you have to become the online marketing person of whatever you're trying to accomplish, whether you're looking for investors or you're looking for people that specialize in rehab to venture partner with, and trying to qualify them is obviously a situation in itself. But, Jeff, I know that you're working on a specific platform, not to segue so much into that, but the reality is creating wealth is who you are in your sphere of influence. And your sphere of influence has changed. When we were young, it was what our Rolodex and the 10, 15 people that we had around us. Now our sphere is...
Let's have 10 or 15,000 people.
Exactly.
My social media network.
Exactly.
I have 212,000 likes on Facebook.
Yes, exactly. So how are you reaching out to those people? You happen to have almost 250,000 people that have touched you at one point in time online. How does the average investor or consumer that wants to be an investor that's out there, it's really important for them to understand to stay on top of their game, whatever business that you're in.
Yeah, more than ever, the learning never stops, right?
The learning never stops.
You just got to keep.
Well, and you mentioned both the two most important things. I think for everybody who's listening right now, Here's the secret sauce right here.
Hold on.
You guys ready?
The secret sauce.
It's high tech, high touch. That's how it is.
I like that.
High tech, high touch. When you leverage the high technology that's available today to increase your sphere of influence by 1,000-fold, 10,000-fold, when you learn how to do this properly, basically for a penny a click, you're adding people into your database. That's the high tech part. Now, the high touch part of it is how can you create a relationship with these people as quickly as possible?
It's easy to get clicks and get likes. How do you get
get
people
interaction?
that are engaging with you?
Totally, that's exactly right. And you know how to do that. You know what? All you have to do.
I do
is
snappy videos.
There you do. There are, and the beautiful thing is that today anybody for a very small amount of money can create the opportunity for engagement with large numbers of people. They can create that scenario. You have the opportunity right now with your 200,000 plus people that you have touched, that in your ongoing marketing with them as an entrepreneur, there's a never-ending opportunity for you to provide value to these people where it's a win-win, where you can offer them some kind of an opportunity where if they buy into it, you're going to make a quick 30, 40, 50 grand, and they're going to have a product that they're very happy with. That's a great situation to be in right now, right?
Absolutely.
Right? And it comes from high tech, high touch. People today, if they really understood the power of the internet and how to create massive followings of people, just like you have, and then understand how to monetize that massive following by delivering massive value and creating that know, like, trust relationship, because people will spend money with people they know, like, and trust. The sooner you get to that point, and the best way to do that is just deliver massive value to them.
Right.
Keep delivering more and more and more and more and more value. And then eventually, when you have something of value to offer to them,
they're in.
They're in. Now,
you know what I call that? Information of abundance. Somebody told me that the other day.
Deliver massive value. So it's most people are using the high tech, but they don't understand the high touch. And it's the combination of the both that makes all the difference, because without the high touch, I'd rather have 1,000 people in my circle that I'm having regular communication with or some kind of engagement with than 100,000 people of which only 30 of them am I having any engagement with.
Oh, sure. Absolutely.
So it's all about the quality of the people that you're able to market to and engage in today's society. And the great news is, every single one of the things we're talking about is a learnable skill. Anybody listening to us right now and a year from now can be engaging people all around the world, building their databases and offering them the opportunity to earn money many, many, many different ways. You know, the great thing I love about today is that even though we're in a zero interest rate environment, opportunities are like waves in the ocean. There's another opportunity every minute.
When you have a tumultuous economy and global strife and such, there's more opportunity out there than ever because what shall I say? Tumult creates opportunity. Simple as that.
There are so many on a daily basis. I am introduced to so many opportunities that if I jumped on the ones I liked, I wouldn't have time to sleep.
Well, share some with me, Kemosabe. I'm ready. I want to jump on board, man.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, wherever your area of interest is, if you're passionate, first of all, I would suggest that nobody get involved in anything unless they have a true passion for it. If someone loves real estate, I would say, boy, they got to get a hold of James. Because if that's where their real passion is, that's where they're going to learn the best, the quickest, because they have a passion for it. They naturally they have an interest in learning it.
Right? I have a passion for the system, because if you can plant the system on top of anything you're selling, if you got the system, I mean the processes, that's where you develop your expertise. And then whether it's real estate or you're doing widgets or wadgets, you're still making money.
Yep, totally agree. What do you think?
As you go through that, it's important to get into whether it's whatever your close new relationship is, even if it's an online platform, getting continuous education. And I'm going to throw something out that you way back on that first show that I happen to mention, I just really don't read books anymore. And you happen to clip me on that. Because, how can you say you don't read books? The reason why, there's so many online videos and online tutorials and educational events for the new people that are in today's market, what do? They're just going to go straight to YouTube and find the person that will actually give them a video tutorial. So I'm grabbing the book, just to let you know, and I'm putting it to the side. I'm not throwing it, but I'm going to put it to the side, because if I can learn something in a video tutorial online, whether it's through YouTube or Facebook or whatever, I'm going to retain that information. Hang on, let me snap again.
There we go. Boom. There we go.
I'm going to retain a tremendous amount of knowledge in a very short, defined period of time, because that's the way the internet is working right now.
Right.
And you know, to your point, there are actually companies out there that will take a book and they will narrow it down to kind of like the cliff notes for the books, so that in a very short period of time you can get all the basic primary information you need to get about that book.
And believe it or not, because people of myself have ADD and my attention is so quick, you know, and short, that I'll listen to things that they're just really reading it almost word for word and listening in. So I got the concept while I'm doing whatever else that I'm doing, and my memory on it is that much greater. So some of the key little tricks and trades that we walk through on a daily basis.
Right on. Well, guys, there's Randy Bachman telling us it's time to take care of a little business. Just want to remind you, this show is all about our mission, which is to educate people on the importance of self, right? Self-knowledge, self-education, self-sufficiency, self-determination,
Go, Steve.
and self-financial defense.
Woo!
So we're going to be back right after this. Stay tuned.
You have been listening to Wealth 360 Radio. If you have any questions or thoughts about today's program, go to wealth360radio.com. That's wealth360radio.com to connect with a host and learn the business tips and mental tricks needed to secure your financial future. Now, back to Wealth 360 Radio.
Okay, guys, we're back for our final segment. This is where we let it all hang out. This is where all the ideas go into the melting pot. We toss and turn and just see what kind of goulash we can make out of all this. What kind of hash can we put together here? Let's talk a little bit about commitment issues, okay? Let's do that, because, you know, so many people are out there talking. I remember Kenneth Blanchard had a statement where he said, you know, there's a difference between commitment and being committed and just interested. If you're interested, well, that's just, that's kind of passive. It's like you may be interested in dipping a toe in the water, but when you're committed, man, you've jumped off the 10-meter board, right? You've made a big splash, probably with a cannonball, and you're all in. No excuses, no second glances, no backsliding. So
if you think about it, creating wealth, you have to be fully committed in that. Do you not? I mean, you can't just put a toe in and get information on doing something, because you're never going to proceed and never going to move forward. That's the important thing to know. You've got to have both feet in and make that decision.
Yeah.
And look at the financial numbers that make sense.
You know, everybody talks about, I'm interested in success. Who wouldn't? I mean, ask 10 people on the street, are you interested in success? And every one of them is going to say, well, yeah, I'm interested in success and prosperity. I mean, who wouldn't it be? But say, are you willing to commit?
In fact, in the best-selling book Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, it was written by my buddy Harv Eker. He has a wealth file, and he talks about the fact that poor people and middle-class people want to be successful and rich, but rich people are committed to being rich. And he talks about everything being energy. And he talks about 3 words: want, choose, and commit. Most people want to be rich. So if you ask most people, just like you said, Steve, do you want to be rich? What are most people going to say? Yeah, sure. If you give it to me, I'll take it. You bet. Now, the energy level associated with want is a very, very low, weak energy level. Now, some people say, I choose to be rich. Now, that's a higher energy level. They're going to make more of a focused attention. They're going to put more attention on it.
Right.
They're willing to do more, but there are things that will stop them. They're stoppable people. As soon as they start doing things and they realize it's not quite as easy as it looked like it was going to be, they've stopped. Mm-hmm. But when you're committed, when you've made up your mind that I'm all in, nothing is going to stop me, that energy level is like a zillion times higher than either wanting or choosing. And you know as well as I do, I surround myself with wealthy, successful people, self-made people, and all of them have made that commitment. And until you have that energy level, you're wanting or choosing alone will never get you to the promised land. What do you guys think?
I think you're right. I think that nobody looks back on their life and thinks about the nights they got a good night's sleep, plenty of sleep, right?
Absolutely.
And I promise you, that the movers and shakers, the deal makers, the risk takers, they're not up watching the Late Show either, right? They're planning their goals, they're plotting their trajectory, they're grinding away, they're learning new things, and so they can live the life like these other guys can only dream about. Right?
If you think about, and people can be listening out there, who do you know that you can see in their eyes as well as by the way they act, the pure focus on what they're trying to accomplish. They're not giving an excuse as to why they didn't get something done. They're fully focused on moving forward and getting over whatever the challenge. We all have challenges. They got to move the ball,
man.
Right.
They got to move the ball.
They got to move the ball. It's just like the football game. What a great football weekend that we had this weekend. But they got to move the ball, and that's the reality of it. And you never say never. You can't give up. If that's what your passion is, mine happens to be real estate, I never give up. I've got to continue to move forward and apply the trait based off of the idea of the wealth that I want to create. And as long as I'm following in that succession, it's going to go. It's going to go no matter what. Nothing is perfect in this world, but you'll continue to move forward in life.
You know what the bottom line is? If you don't commit to creating the kind of lifestyle you want to live by design, then societal forces are going to triangulate around you and force you into a default lifestyle that's probably not going to be quite what you envisioned for yourself. You follow what I'm saying? Because
totally, absolutely, you bet.
If you're not actively involved in designing your future,
someone's going to design it for you.
It's going to be someone. There's guys in little tiny rooms back there, back east in some high rise somewhere. They're plotting right now how they can get inside your brain and what am I trying to say? Trying to guide your future and make your decisions for you, affect your worldview, just almost enter your nervous system and change your circuitry and get you to do certain things. I mean, that's what advertising's all about, dude. I'm telling you.
It is.
That's how it works.
It absolutely is. And one of the biggest reasons that most people don't get what they want
little digital breadcrumbs designed to have you follow, walk along that little path that they've predetermined for you. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. There's a reason why they call it a program.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
you're programmed.
Yeah, you're programmed. That TV is nothing more than a box that programs America.
It's telling
the world.
It's called television for a reason. It's telling a vision, somebody else's vision of how they want you to act.
Okay, and I say it's called a program for a reason because they're programming you every single second of the day, right?
The zombie box.
It is.
The boob tube.
It really is. It really is.
It really is. So what were we just talking about here? Boy, you threw me. That's the way you are, Steve. You're always doing that, man.
You can't show me one successful person that wasn't actively involved in designing their future. You can't point to one person out there that said, well, I just kind of muddled along and, I took it as it came to me and somehow, lo and behold, I ended up a success. I can't name that person. Do you know anybody like that?
No, you know what? What you find is you find people like Steve Jobs or you find people like Bill Gates, people who weren't highly, didn't have master's degrees or whatever. They had a passion for what they were doing. They ended up hiring all the MBAs and all the other people to work for them. They had that entrepreneurial mind. It looks like we're wrapping things up here pretty soon, huh? All right. Very good.
I think we got a few more minutes until someone knocks on that glass and says it's time to go. I'm talking, and we're rocking, so go.
All right, very good. So, one of the things I wanted to do is obviously we only have a few minutes left, is James, I know that you've got some stuff going on that you want to share with all the people, right?
Well, we put on education events that actually our intention is to expand this across the United States and localize essentially free real estate educational events on how to invest in real estate. You may not own the asset. You may just become a lender on a specific asset. And we try to put those together across the United States. Our events are weekly. We do weekly real estate education events every Thursday night at the Ezria Conference Center, 24th Street in McDowell from about 6 o'clock to 8 p.m., all facets of real estate investing. And we're taking that online on Facebook. So we can send that link up on Facebook if you can attend the event. And if you're interested in an outer market event, you could always reach out to us on wealth360radio.com. and ultimately will be coming to a local city near you.
Totally awesome event. I know, Steve, you and I have both been to James' events, and they're just outstanding. Great quality of people, and boy, anybody that's into real estate, boy, it's just time really incredibly well spent.
The energy at these things, it's cackling. It's like being
like lightning.
64 kVA lines.
It's good to be in that energy, no doubt about that. And Steve, how about yourself?
Well, I'm telling folks that if they want to get to know me and what I do a little bit better, log on to the relentlesscapitalist.com. You can check me out on ratliffinvestments.com. And what I do is I teach people how to go from zero to hero in record time, how to put some ducats in their pocket and make things grow. You know, people ask me what I do. I tell them I'm an architect. I redesign people's lives. Okay.
And certainly, you know, I know that just based on everything I get to hear from you all the time, that any time spent with you is time well spent, Steve. So people ought to get to know you a little bit better and get to know a lot more about you. I happen to have a call that real quickly, my number is a free call Monday through Friday, 712-432-0460. And the access code is 131237. It's called the Street Smart Call for Success, and I'd love to have you on the call.
Okay, guys, that sound means that it's time for us to split until next week. Remember, we talked about commitment. It's the difference between average and awesome, and we love awesome here. It's the secret sauce that shows people how the secret sauce that demonstrates how a few people get to live big while the vast majority of people toil away for years in obscurity.
Live large.
Commitment. Okay, guys, see you next time.
See ya.
See ya.
You have been listening to Wealth 360 Radio, an hour dedicated to you, the entrepreneur, the small business owner, and anyone who is looking to learn the steps necessary to achieve financial freedom. To find out more or get in contact with the host or any of the guests you heard on today's program, please visit wealth360radio.com. That's wealth360radio.com. Download the Wealth 360 Radio app for your Apple or Android phone, or find us on moneyradionetwork.com. Thank you for listening to Wealth 360 Radio. And remember, the poor want to be rich, but the rich want to be wealthy.